y'all, it's Judy. Thank you for joining me with another episode of Still Growing. So last night, Kanye West had the internet going crazy, trending all over the place, and everybody talking about whether he's being locked up by his family. Actually, it all started kind of crazy because he was typing names and words which doesn't seem to really make sense, but he typed up Halle Berry, Jennifer Lawrence, and then he says, everybody knows the movie Get Out is about me. I'll come back and talk a little bit about that in a second. He goes on to talk about Michael Jackson, and he says, listen to Michael Jackson, black or white. Then he types, Kris, don't play me. Kris, don't play me. You and that call me are not allowed around my children. You all tried to lock me up. Everybody knows the movie Get Out is about me. So he's talking about that again. He says, I put my life on the line for my children. That North's mother would never sell her sex rape. It seems like he meant sex tape. I put my life on my God that North's mom would never photograph her doing Playboy, and that's on God. I'm at the ranch. Come and get me. Come and get me. This is the Exodus, like Pusha said. On God, Shia is cap. Kim tried to bring a doctor to lock me up, and if I get locked up like Mandela, you all will know why. Shia was deposed to do the first Easy Gap shoot, and he never showed up. On Winter always showed me love, but when I told her I was going to Gap, she looked at me like I was crazy. Then she called back and kissed my ass. Kris and Kim, call me now. So he sent out a note to Kris saying, this year, you ready to talk now, or are you still avoiding my call? I love my wife. My family must live next to me. It's not up to E or NBC anymore. NBC locked up Bill Cosby. Kim was trying to fly to Wyoming with a doctor to lock me up like on the movie Get Out because I cried about saving my daughter's life. So these are all the things that he was writing last night on Twitter. Now the question becomes, why is he doing all of this? Is in fact Kim and Kris trying to really lock him up, or is this really about something else? So what happened earlier in the day is that he was out campaigning in South Carolina, and he was saying a whole bunch of too much. He was just saying things that weren't relevant to the campaign at all.
My mom saved my life. My dad wanted to abort me. My mom saved my life. There would have been no Kanye West because my dad was too busy.
It's totally understandable that Kim might want to lock him up. I mean, after all, she does live in a fantasy world where everything is white and clean and perfect and there is no problems whatsoever. that's her brand, right? Her brand is perfection. Her body's perfect, her children are perfect, and of course her husband must be perfect too. The fact that he's out there talking about their personal issues, disclosing personal information about their daughter, whether they wanted to abort their daughter or not, I can understand why she would be very upset about that. That's not something you would choose to talk about in public without discussing that with your spouse. So she, of course, must be very upset and most likely plotting with her mom to figure out how to get rid of him, or at least to shut him up. When we see Kanye, we see someone who is overly emotional and someone that you can tell that is still being affected by the loss of his mom, and also seem to be losing his grip on reality and unable to determine what is okay to discuss in public and what is not. I believe Kanye is highly intelligent and might even be a genius in his field. There's a train of thought that says that if you're what's considered crazy or bipolar, that you actually are experiencing a connection with the spiritual world and you're just unable to express yourself. So if in fact Kanye is spiritually connected to the universe and he's getting messages, he's been waking up, and in fact he is beginning to wake up to the reality of the fact that the majority of the world is living in slavery. If he's waking up and feeling the changes that is happening in the universe, particular at this time, there's major changes that is occurring. And it seems to me that he is seeing the reality that we're all slaves to a very few in society. At first, when I saw the clips of him talking about Kim wanting to lock him up, I thought that he's doing all this so that he can actually prey on, the emotions of society. Because we've seen him say crazy things before, things that are very hurtful to the Black community. When I look at it, it seems as if these things were timed, or they were timed right around when he's coming out with a new album. Now he's saying that Harriet Tubman never freed any slaves. She just basically moved them from one place of slavery into another place of slavery.
Leave and move. When Harriet Tubman never actually freed the slaves. She just had the slaves go work for other white people.
Y'all, we leaving right now.
And when I look at 2018, when he was coming out with his last album, he was again saying ridiculous things. He was coming out with Jesus is King album at the time. Well, first of all, Jesus is not king. Jesus is just a European creation, but I digress. At that point, what he was saying was that slavery was a choice.
Hear about slavery for 400 years? For 400 years, that sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all? It's like we're mentally in prison. I like the word prison because slavery goes too direct to the idea of blacks. It's like slavery, Holocaust Jews, slavery is blacks.
So my thought was that, well, maybe he's trying to, just get the Black community and the white community up in a roar, Black community being upset and white community talking about it, so that everyone was focused on him while his album is coming out. But now that I sit back and I look at him, and I look at him while he speaks, this is not a person who is trying to be malicious or trying to be greedy. It appears to me that this man really does care about the community. But he has issues in his mind that he needs to deal with. He needs someone to help him to figure out what's going on and to get medication if necessary. When he talks about that Harriet Tubman didn't free any slaves, perhaps what he's trying to say is that working for another white person is not freedom. But the fact of the matter is that because of all the things that's going on in his mind and in his head, he's going through a lot of pain. You can see it's not every day that a man is going to stand in front of the mirror and in front of the media and start crying for no reason. The words that comes out of his mouth while he's crying seem to make no sense, but at the same time you can tell that he's hurting. So as a community, somebody needs to reach out to him. Somebody that has his best interests at heart, who is not necessarily looking to line their pockets. Kanye needs to focus on his music, definitely not to focus on politics. I don't know what goes on in their personal relationship, but from what Kim put out to the public, the things that she cares about, money, artificial look, artificial life, a fantasy life, is not exactly the place for one that is experiencing mental challenges and who does not feel that his spouse has his best interests at heart and is supportive of his recovery. At least someone that he doesn't seem to trust. I certainly would not be the one to suggest that people break up their marriage, break up their relationships. Kanye does need some intervention, and the question becomes whether Kim and her family is the right people to be in charge of that. Do they have his best interests at heart? I don't know. But I do know that he needs some help to grieve the death of his mom, and to understand all the things that's happening in his head.